Okay, guys, my recording called Master of Puppets 1 is still uploading, so I'm going to give this a try. I'm just hoping it doesn't upload this instead of number 1. I hope they both get uploaded. Just maybe it's like a queue, upload 1 and then this one comes up. Because I went and peeled my potatoes, got my pork onto a tray, peeled some potatoes, one really big one and one small one, so on average it'd probably be about 5 potatoes. And then I went and put it into the oven, and after that I waited for about 10 minutes for the other one to upload and it still isn't. Must be a lot of people on the internet or something. Well, it is, Saturday. So yeah, it could be those things. I used to, because the thing with autistic people, we have a huge sense of justice, but also you got to remember that the sense of justice is really strong, yes, but it's also limited to your own understanding of the world. You could have an autistic person that has the opposite perspective, and his sense of justice makes him just as strong as just as staunch as you are, but you're standing on two different sides of the perspectives. You might have an autistic person who's very staunch left wing, and you might have an autistic person that's very staunch right wing, and then you've got someone like me who's I've studied both sides, and many years ago, a number of years ago, I came to like my mid 20s. I didn't have the extensive knowledge that I came to know over the years, but I knew enough to know that neither side cared, and it was just all not a facade, but yeah, they'll say that this party stands for this and this party stands for that. But the thing is it all depends on who is actually in power. The people, the people, not the party. And most of the times, the people there, they got to a point where their career was so great and they had a lot to lose that they would compromise. It's like they went from a masculine man working out at the gym and going for runs and stuff and ended up being a woman in a skirt or vice versa. Compromise is normal, but because let's say they're in power for 3 years, there's going to be things that they of their personality and their perspectives that change, but not to that extreme. Anyways, I used to. It's the same within Christian circles and spiritual circles, but you grow up and you become mature because you experience all these different things, and then you realize that when you have this strong sense of justice coming in, you also have to remember that your sense of justice is also your perspective. You know what I mean? And so I used to stand up and like people would say, "No, this is what the Bible means. This is that." And I used to sometimes talk to them in private, sometimes just call them out, sometimes just study and get my own perspectives. All the above. But when you have autism, you got to realize that yeah, you have a strong sense of justice, but so does every autistic person. And if they're younger, if they're like in their teens, early to mid 20s, pushing even in their late 20s, they might not realize that just because they have a strong sense of justice, it is not only do they have a strong sense of justice, but all autistic people do. But it's also not tainted, but it is influenced by their perspectives and their life experiences. So someone might be really strongly fervent believe in something and they're autistic, and someone else strongly fervently believes in something and they're autistic, and it's two different sides of the perspective, right? When it comes to politics, or when it comes to race, or when it comes to gender, or when it comes to spiritual beliefs or religion, um, any form of lifestyle. And you'll be like staunch hard out, but then like 2 to 3 years later, you're on the other side of the perspective. You're the complete opposite, and you're staunch hard out on that, and then it's like that for about a decade. And let's say you've done the whole left right political thing, except for I used to believe that marching uptown was. I understand its point, but I used to think it was like pointless because in the end of the day, it's the you vote with your pocket, you vote with your pocket, and you vote with your who you put into power, right? So I was always doing that. I always voted for the Māoris and the Greens throughout my 20s. So the thing is, this is I've been stalked by churches. I won't say their names. So basically, again, it comes down to you know I want to live a great life, and if I get to live a great life, the incomes that I'm aiming for, which I will, and then aiming to, get a woman, and yeah, with the whole woman thing, if they dump you and then they end up with someone else, like when my ex dumped me after being together for 6 months, I viewed that relationship as a success because I wanted it to last, but my perspective was, hey, you were single for 8 years and then you had a woman for 6 months. And I mean, I turned down women, you know, I mean, for me, it was like you go on a couple of dates, you get to know them before you have sex or whatever. But then there's other ones that want to. Another thing was like I used to see women getting with guys for money in my 20s, even if they were like unemployed and the other person was just on a job or whatever, minimum pay rate. Well, what happened was they always broke up within a couple, 2 to 3 months, the high majority. Some would last a year or two, but um, I just saw it. I just saw it in all these girls that I knew. There was some Christian woman and some Christian woman that I was interested in, but they weren't interested in me for various reasons. They just said that God's got a woman for you, but I mean God's got a woman for you, but I'm not it. And but they got rejected by the guys they wanted to. Some of them, but then things changed. Then next thing you know, later on they become hussies or whatever. They get 4 or 5 different boyfriends in the same year, and find out that they were seeing other guys whilst with those 4 or 5 different boyfriends. But then you see these other ones who actually were living by what they preached. So when if I get another woman and we break up, which I'm hoping we don't or work, I still view it as a success. Um, you spent $50 or $100, big deal. Like you guys went out and got restaurants. In the past I would turn woman down because it was like, no, you're just using me for that. But then now it's like I don't really care, and it's a experience. So actually, you're not using me because I'm getting things out of it. It's experience, and it's a success. We went to a restaurant and I paid for both of our meals, and I paid for petrol to go to the beach or whatever, and then I didn't see you for a week, and then it was like that, and then we started sleeping together, and we started getting a bond, and then 2 to 3 months later, or 6 months later, you dropped me out of nowhere, and then end up with either someone I knew or just over someone overnight. I still view that as an success for the experience, but at the same time, I want loyalty.